Hey guys, so today I wanted to talk a little bit about shame, blame, and fear, and the coupling of those, the marrying of those terms gives you humiliation, essentially. And as I talk about humiliation, um, I'd like you to put it in the frame of communication and emotional intelligence and how it applies specifically when you're speaking with someone whom you have a grievance with. So just keep that in mind as I uh, chat a little bit here. So, humiliation is defined as the emotion you feel when your status is lowered in front of others. And humiliation has a really central role in victimization. If you think about when a person is victimized, um, almost regardless of what situation it's in, uh, humiliating them and lowering them is almost always involved. And so, given the central role that it plays in victimization, it seems like it would be worthwhile to talk a little bit about the potential effects that humiliation has on a person. So, people who are being humiliated, brains that are being humiliated, are being subject, by extension, to shame, blame, and fear. And these feelings are in the brain, what is happening, it is something more powerful than anger, more intense than happiness. It is an incredibly strong emotion. And what is not so commonly known is that a person who is being humiliated is a person that is having their fight, flight, or freeze reflex initiated. And we talked about this, I think it was the last video I did on these subjects. So, a person who's being humiliated is being pushed into lizard brain. So, hypothetically, you have a grievance with someone, and your tactic is to shame them, blame them, push them into fear. Essentially, they're becoming humiliated by the way you're addressing the issue. You have pushed them into lizard brain. So there's only three ways they're going to react if they're in lizard brain. They are going to want to fight. And remember, this is a fight where they are not using their higher thinking capabilities because they're in lizard brain, or they're going to run. They're going to be pushed into flight. They're going to run away from the situation, ignore the situation. They're going to pretend like the situation didn't happen. They're gone. They're out of the conversation. So the conversation is shut down. Or they're going to freeze. They're going to numb out. They're going to go into a depression. Once again, the conversation has stopped. You have made no ground. You haven't made your points. You've done nothing beneficial in this situation because how you address the situation put them into this non-thinking brain. So, how can we use this information? Well, simply put, we need to find common ground with the person that we have a grievance with. We want for them to not be in their lizard brain when we are talking to them. Because when they're in their lizard brain, they are in fight, flight, or freeze. You have shut down the conversation. You have lost your chance to talk. You have lost your chance to reason if you have put them in lizard brain. But by reasoning with someone, none of these things happen. Reasoning is the action of thinking about something in a logical, sensible way. And this can't be done in lizard brain. So to keep them feeling safe in the conversation, and these are things that we've already talked about, to keep them feeling safe in the conversation, you need to, first of all, listen to their point of view, try to find common ground with their point of view. When you find something that you do agree on, tell them. Tell them they're right. Telling them that they are right on a point that you have found, a point that maybe you had to dig for, but telling them that they are right, validates them as a fellow human being, and it validates them as a thinking, logical person, which then keeps them being a thinking, logical person. And by doing this, you're going to make them more receptive to hearing what they're potentially doing wrong, or what you're thinking, what you're presuming they're doing wrong. They will be receptive because you have built them up. They feel safe. They know that you feel like they are a valid person with a valid thinking brain. And so they'll be more receptive, like I said, to hearing your point of view. And then just one quick little story I wanted to tell everyone before I finish this video. Some of you may be thinking, well, I've used, shame, blame, humiliation, calling out, and it works, Dade. They've changed their behavior, and now I'm happy, and I'm sure they're fine. Well, consider this story. So this is a story that my wife often tells. And it's a story of how she learned not to slam the screen door as a child. So as a child, she would always run out the back door. It was a screen door, and she would slam it behind her. And her dad would get really pissed. And he would come charging, and he would yell at her and say, don't you slam that screen door. And after, a couple warnings and a couple of, verbal things, she would get a spanking, because that's how her family raised her. So did she learn to not slam the screen door? Hell yeah. She stopped slamming that screen door. But you know what? She still slammed every other fucking door in the house. She didn't really learn a lesson. She learned to fear the consequence, and to not do the one action that brought her pain and humiliation and fear. But she didn't learn why she shouldn't slam any door, why the door shouldn't be slammed. This wasn't information she had. No one talked to her about it and reasoned with her, and allowed her thinking brain to decipher the bigger issue with slamming a door. And I know this seems like a simplistic way to think about it, but it's the truth. If you use shame, blame, and humiliation with someone, they may change that one behavior. Additionally, you've probably irreparably damaged your relationship with them. But if you were to stop and talk and reason with them and show them how their behavior affects the bigger picture, and offer them ways to change their behavior, then the outcome will be completely different. You are putting yourself on equal ground with them, instead of lowering them and pushing them down to make a point. And when you and another person are on the same ground, that's where there's peace, and that's where there's unity, and that's where there's working together. And I think ultimately that's what we all want. We want a community that is working together and, keeping each other accountable, but not in a way that is hurtful and bringing other members down.